we're back on the ATV project. Lucky for me, my wife is at work and I was needing to run the dishwasher. So what better way to clean that air filter? So we'll just go ahead and run through a cycle and everything will be good to go, and we'll get that ATV put back together. Hi, I'm Matt and this is Procrastination Garage. It's late Wednesday afternoon, around 4, a little after 4. And who's our next victim? Yep, it's this Can Am ATV right here. So what's the problem? The choke cable on this thing has been malfunctioning for a while. And in fact, this choke is on. I don't know. Can you see it? It's not really in focus. There's a little kink right at the end of the cable. And I think what's been happening is that the choke has not been fully shutting off on this thing. And I'd say for probably a long time. Because the reason I say that, I've had this one foul a spark plug before, and maybe more than once. And I'd almost be willing to bet you it's because it was getting too much gas and was running a little rich. Now, usually it would still run okay, but there have been a few times where the choke cable kind of jams up and it wouldn't shut off, and then it runs really poorly. So once I figured out what the problem was, I just went ahead and ordered a new choke cable for it. Now, what I have no clue is how to route it, because it's got to come through this and down through here and down to the carburetor. So that might be a bit of a challenge. I don't think we're going to get very far on it this afternoon, but at least want to get the ATV in here and do some preliminary scouting. That's not good. That took more disassembly than I was hoping for, but we're in. So this should be the choke cable right there. So we just gotta unhook it at this end, unhook it at that end, and then run it down through. Shouldn't be too difficult, and then put everything back together. So I'll give it a chance to do the air cleaner, which, look at it, it's never been done. And I heard something fall over here. Don't think it was anything important, I'm not sure. But I did lose one of these screws over on the other side, so it'd be nice if we could find that before we put everything back together. I removed the cable end from up by the handlebars. You can see how kinked up it is. And it just, once you got the little thing off of there, it just pulled straight out. And then down at the other end, I pulled it, you had to unscrew this thing and then pull this out, and there's a plunger thing that goes on the end. I've removed it from there. Here are the pieces right there. You need to put them on there and then screw this into that hole. Looks like that. That's how it's going back together. I've got the choke end reassembled, and then I taped the new choke cable to the old choke cable, and the idea is that I'm going to pull it up through and hopefully it'll follow the same route and it'll be up here without having to disassemble a lot more stuff. I picked up a little zip tie somewhere along the way, but otherwise it came through real easy. So we're going to call that a win. Don't you hate it when you're not smarter than your phone? Well, that just happened. I had the camera not recording when I thought it was recording, and recording when I thought it was not recording. So anyway, you missed a little bit. I had to remove this end down here again and pull the spring and little plunger off there because I needed as much slack as I could get up at this end to get it situated where it was supposed to be. No big deal. Once that was done, I went back down here, put the spring on, put the little clip on there, or the little plunger, and got it all screwed together. So we're done as far as the choke cable is concerned. So yeehaw. Next thing we're going to do is put the air box back, but in looking at the air box, it's got a lot of dirt down there in the bottom, greasy dirt. So I went ahead and I pulled out this rubber gasket that seals the two halves, and then I'm going to go ahead and clean that out, probably spray some carb cleaner in there and get that all cleaned up nice. And then looking at the back side, what I didn't do when I took it apart was I didn't loosen that clamp right there. That goes on that clamps to the carburetor right here. So I went ahead and loosened that clamp so it's ready to go back together. And then there's two fittings. There's a fitting here, focus, and then a fitting here with a couple of hoses that go to them. Should be no problem really to get back at those, at least as I'm putting it in there. So we'll be assembling here shortly. The bulk of the air box is reinstalled. This is where we're going to call it quits for the night. I'm going to take the filter up to the house and wash it out and re-oil it tomorrow or whenever I get back to this. And then we'll finish assembling. Airbox went back pretty easily. I had a little bit of trouble getting the rubber boot around the carburetor, but working from the other side, it finally just popped into place. And then there were two little rubber hoses that had to hook up to the airbox, and they went on just fine, got the clamps on. And anyway, got the bolts back in, so it's good to go. This thing should be in running condition right now, but I'm not going to fire it up until I get the air cleaner back on there and get that panel back on there. So making good progress. We should wrap up soon. All right, please do me a favor and hit the like button, and please subscribe, and please tell all your friends. Leave me a comment too, would appreciate it. Thanks. I'm over at the rental, came over just checking to see what was going on. So Tuesday I called a plumber. He came out and decided that they needed to call in locator service, check for underground lines and electrical before they proceeded. So it's Thursday morning, locate has not been out here yet. So we're in standby mode. It's Thursday morning still, around 11:30 a.m. And isn't today my lucky day? So I got a text from the renter where the plumbing work is being done outside that they're having problems with hot water. I'm not 100% sure if they're completely out of hot water or if they just have limited hot water. So sounds like at best we have an element or two that have gone bad and may need to replace the tank. I'm really hoping not to replace the tank because I just don't need that expense right now with the other work going on over there. So anyway, let's go over there and do some testing. Recognize that? Anyway, let's turn on the hot water and see if anything warm comes out. Not yet. Still nothing. Alright, there's the culprit. So what we need to do is shut off the circuit breaker and then make sure there's no power. So I'm going to remove the little thing up there at the top so I can check power first, make sure it's on, and then check it, make sure it's off. Meter hooked up. Got one lead stuck in there. Ground. And focus, 121 volts. And I already checked the other lead, same thing. So now we'll hit the circuit breaker and hope we lose that power. Well, here's something interesting. So I turned the circuit breaker off and came over and checked it. It was 0. And I thought, yeah, let's just double check it. You know, you don't mess around with power. So I made sure the lead was already hooked up, and I went and turned the circuit breaker back on. And all of a sudden, the hot water heater is functioning. The renter, when I talked to him, he sent me a text. He said that he had flipped the circuit breaker off and back on, and it said that the hot water heater was not making any noise. Usually you can kind of hear it cycle. I know what he's talking about, and that's the noise I'm hearing now. Hopefully you guys can hear it too. So, that being said, since we're here, we'll go ahead and shut this off, drain the hot water heater, and check the elements just to make sure. I don't know. I still don't know what's going on. You know, is it possible that one of these leads was not fully connected? Because I did have to mess with them just a little bit to get the probe in there. I doubt that's what's going on. Is the circuit breaker going bad? Again, I don't know. So let's just fool around a little bit and see what we can learn. Alright, so got a change of plans here. So the hot water heater, there's so much sediment in the bottom, it's not draining quickly at all. That's a 50-gallon tank. That's going to take a long time to drain, especially at the rate it was going. I'd show you, except I've since shut it off. So what I've done is I went ahead, turned the water back on. You can probably hear it running. Anyway, it's running. I checked, there is 120 volts on each leg of both elements, top and bottom. I don't know if that's how you test them, but at least I know that it's getting power to both of them. Although, my understanding of hot water heaters was that one element kicked on first, then the other one kicked on. Don't know. Anyway, so he said that it wasn't making the noise. Now it's making the noise. So we're going to let it go here for 15-20 minutes to see if we've got any hot water. If that's the case, I think what I will do is I will just plan on buying a new hot water heater. And then I need to start early in the day to get the thing drained. And if I can get it drained down below this element, then I could put a siphon hose in there and drain out the rest. But 50 gallons times 7, I mean, you know, it's not quite 500 pounds, but it's getting up there. It's heavy. 7 gallons a pound. So it's not something that I want to move until it's drained, or at least mostly drained. So we're getting a late start today. I don't really want to tackle this. So I might run to Home Depot or somewhere and get a new hot water heater to have on standby. We'll see. I guess it's really going to key on whether when the thing kicks off, if it's actually heated water or not. But my guess is that it is heating water right now. So I'll let you know in a little bit. I've got the hot water heater put all back together. One element ran through a full cycle, and then the other element did kick on. At least there was a change in sound from one to another, I assume. We have hot water, so I don't know. I don't know what's going on. I'm going to let it ride for now. I probably will go ahead and buy a hot water heater to keep in reserve. Between this place, the other rental, and our house, somebody's going to need one here pretty soon, so I don't think it's a bad idea to have one on hand. The biggest problem is draining this tank. It's going to take a long time. So if I have to come over here to replace it, I think what I will do is I will get over here early in the morning, or maybe in the evening, get a hose hooked up, and then tell them when they leave in the morning to open it up and let it start draining. And then I just won't plan on coming out here until like 3 in the afternoon to swap it. So anyway, for now, we're calling this one fixed. No, we're just calling it done for the day. Thursday afternoon, and we're back on the ATV project. Lucky for me, my wife is at work, and I was needing to run the dishwasher. So what better way to clean that air filter? So we'll just go ahead and run through a cycle and everything will be good to go, and we'll get that ATV put back together. After the dish cycle is complete, we've got us a clean filter there. Now we need to add some oil to it. And right here I have some Can Am filter oil. So I'll go ahead and spray it down with that, and then we'll get it reinstalled. Air filter's back in place. I've got the gasket put back in. Also, there was this little thing down here, which is some kind of reservoir little trap. It was filled with a little bit of oil. I took it out and cleaned it. So now getting ready to put the cover back on and clip it in place. Well, after we clean it first. Done deal. Air cover back in place. Little clips reinstalled. And almost forgot one little thing. See that little clip right there? That goes up on this choke cable somewhere. I got to figure out how. And it's just kind of a keeper to make sure it doesn't fall out, I guess. I don't know. I'll figure it out. See where it says choke? Just to the right of that, there's two little small holes. That's where that clip drops down in. I'll get it in there and I'll show you. There you can see the clip is reinstalled. All right, I got to tell you, I was second guessing myself, so I went and double checked on the other ATV just to make sure I knew what I was doing. Anyway, it's back. There you can see I've got the seat and the side panel back installed. Same with the side panel on the other side. So the only thing left is that piece there, and that's my disappointment, is because I lost a screw out of it and I can't find it. So it's going back together with 3 screws for now, and then we'll have to see if we can come up with one. There's my shame. There's 3 of them. All that work and we still don't know if it's going to run. Let's go ahead and fire it up and see. Fingers crossed. Seems fine. So what became of the plumbing project? On Friday, the plumber brought in this big piece of equipment. It uses a combination of air and water to dig, and then they have a big vacuum pump that sucks out the slurry. So they worked the better part of the day. It took them a long time to find the pipe because it was down nearly 4 feet. And as it turned out, it was actually the main water line coming in. And so they had to repair it. You can see the 90 they put in down there. One guy worked a lot harder than the other. I probably didn't need to be charged for 2 guys' labor because the one guy wasn't doing a whole lot, but he was kind of the supervisor of the thing. Oh well, it is what it is. It was a very expensive repair, but I'll tell you what, after looking at the roots down in there, I never would have got to that pipe. And let's just hope it holds. But it has a 1-year warranty on it. And if it does break again, I've got a plan to fix it, which I think I can do myself now that I know where the water line runs. But let's hope that isn't the case and it stays good for years to come. All right, that's it. Let's move on to something else. Oh, it should be noted, that slurry they pumped out was taken away, so I didn't have any dirt left. So they could have refilled the hole. They'd have had to haul some in, but I wasn't going to pay for that. So refilling the holes was left to me. Good thing I've got a property full of dirt. It's Monday morning around 9 o'clock, and me and the dog Skeeter, there she is, instead of going over to the rental to do some work that we need to do, we're going to go to the mountains and play. I say play, but actually we're going up there on a scouting trip to find a camping spot. Our Snowmobile Club's 2nd annual camp out of the year, at least non-winter one, is scheduled for this weekend, and we don't have a spot yet. We're trying to go to a different area. So I figured we'd go up today. I've been meaning to get up there and do this, but hadn't gotten it done, and now it's crunch time. So maybe you're asking yourself, what am I supposed to be doing over at the rental? And maybe which rental? Well, it's rental number 2, the one that had the water leak last week. Plumber fixed it Friday night about 7 o'clock. But then I got reports on Saturday from the tenant that they didn't have good water pressure in some of the fixtures in the house. And so I went over there Saturday afternoon. Well, at first I thought maybe they hadn't opened the street valve all the way up, but I took a tool over there. I opened and closed the valve a couple times. It seemed to be fine. And then it seemed like all the fixtures were working pretty good, except for the kitchen sink. And I disconnected the water lines from the kitchen sink, and there's plenty of water pressure in the lines. So I think what happened was when the water got turned back on, there must have been some dirt in the line. I mean, they were working down in a dirty hole. So maybe something got stuck inside that fixture. I tried pulling the little screen off right there at the faucet, and it was dirty, but it wasn't anything current. It was just stuff that had collected over the years. Cleaned that out, made no difference whatsoever. So I need to get over there and, worst case, replace that faucet. But I'm wondering if I can blow some air through it backwards, if I can clear it. So I'll probably try that. Still dealing with the hot water heater over there. It is working just fine for them at the moment. But obviously something is wrong, and since the heating element seems to be working, I'm thinking it's a little control module, and so I think I'll just go ahead and buy a new one and swap it on there. It's only like 25, 35 bucks, something like that. They're pretty cheap. So that's on the schedule for tomorrow, the hot water heater, the kitchen sink faucet, and then we've got to backfill the hole that the plumber company left for me, because the machine they use basically sucks all the dirt out because it's all mixed with water, and then it's gone for good. So luckily I have a big pile of dirt, so that's not going to be a problem. But again, that's tomorrow's problem. Today we're going to play. Where are we going on this weekend's camp out? We're going back up on Chinook Pass, but instead of going up in the Rattlesnake area of the Nile, we're going to go closer to Boulder Cave and go up from there. At least that's the goal. So let's get up there and look around. Made it to the Boulder Cave turnoff. Still on pavement for just a brief second. Dirt. We made it to dirt. It's always nice to feel dirt under the tires. So they're looking down on option number 1. The problem with this spot, it's easy to get to. It's a good location, except it's not very flat. It's at a pretty good angle. My truck is pointed uphill. I'm not sure if you can tell. Could we get everybody in here and get them leveled? Probably. Also, no internet or no cell phone service up here, which may be a problem at any site we find in this area. Okay, so I did find a camping spot, and of course, I was so excited about finding the spot that I wasn't doing a good job of recording, so I didn't record the location of it. Anyway, from where I last recorded, the dog and I went up the main road from there and followed it out to the end. I knew where it went, and I was hoping we got out the end there that maybe there'd be some cell service and a campsite out there. And there was both. Actually, there were 2 campsites. So if one of them is taken, we can probably get in the other one. One was a little better than the other, but either one is good enough. So we are all set for the weekend, having found a place. So what I did was I came back down to Highway 410. I ran up the highway a little ways, and I'm now on the 1709 road. And I'm going to follow this all the way up to the 1600 road and down 1600 into the Nile and go home. So it won't be a real long day today. And why am I doing that? Just because. Dog, she's over there kind of napping. I brought a lunch with me. It's warming up there on the defroster vent. It's a leftover Taco Bell item. So if I see anything exciting, I will video it. Otherwise, I'm just headed home slowly but surely. So it has started. See, there's a couple RVs over there, and then I don't know if you can see way back through the trees, somewhere back in there is another one. These people are coming up here and setting up their hunting camps. I'm not sure how I feel about that, because technically this land belongs to everybody. Should they be allowed to come up and set up early? I mean, there's nothing stopping a person from going in there and camping right next to them, I guess. So I bet I'll see a lot more of that before the day's over with. And what I mean by setting up is that they come up ahead of time and they park their trailers and set up a camp, but then they go back to town and go about their business. And they leave this stuff set up for weeks ahead of hunting season. Some people seem to think that these spots are theirs perpetually, year after year after year. And, you know, I get it to a point. But on the other hand, as I said, these are public lands. and they're open to everybody, and it's kind of a first come first served basis type of thing. So I don't know, it is what it is, but as long as we found a place for this weekend for us, I guess I'm not going to complain too much. Here we sit at the 1600/1706 intersection. Earlier I said 1709. We came up 1709, intersected 1706, and now we're at 1600. And just been sitting here eating my lunch, looking out this dirty windshield. It is, I don't know, not quite 1 o'clock. Going to start heading down the hill and going home because, again, got things to do. So far I've passed, I think, 4 hunting camps set up. 1 or 2 of them, there may have been somebody there. I don't know. I think people are even leaving vehicles up here. One had a Jeep parked by it, but I didn't see any activity. And there's one right here near this intersection that's got a pickup parked by it. Anyway, I bet as I go down 1600, I see more. So let's head for home. Came down the hill past Sawmill Flats, and it's like a camping city in there. People setting up for hunting season. Lots of campers and a big tent. Yikes. Almost out to the Nile Loop Road now. Back on Highway 410 and headed to Natchez, and do need to stop and get some fuel at some point. All right, guys, that's going to wrap up this episode of Procrastination Garage. Hope you enjoyed it. So what did we accomplish? Well, we got some work done on the ATV. That problem's been going on for a long time. Happy to get it fixed. Spent way too much time dealing with the rental, but hey, that's what happens. And did get a quick trip up to the hills. Appreciate that. Remember, the number one goal of Procrastination Garage is to keep me motivated, to keep me working down here in the shop. See this yellow thing behind me? Yeah, that's new. Working out in the yard or the rental or whatever, and playing up in the hills. Down in the comments, tell me about the things you're working on or the things you're procrastinating about. I'd like to know I'm not the only one. Next video should be out in a week or so. Remember, my name is Matt. This is Procrastination Garage, and we'll see you shortly.